Good afternoon. This is Debra V. Wilson. I am in London. I'm here in the nation's capital doing more field work. Where appropriate, I'll post it. When I was on my journey from Victoria Coach Station to where I'm staying, this article it's called MI5 Believe Black People Pose Security Risk, Papers Reveal, and it's a Guardian newspaper article, and it's by Nazia Parvin, and it was published Monday, the 15th of October 2018. So I'm just going to, and I actually thought about this article for whatever reason while I was in transit, okay? So the first paragraph of the article: senior MI5 officials believe black people could not be trusted in high-level spying roles as they could be a security risk according to documents uncovered by an academic. So I'm gonna go down, further down, and I'll post the link. And this was the, it's 3/4 of the way down, and this was the part that stuck out in my head that I was thinking about as I was going through the Capitol. MI5 believe the risk of employing colored staff, quote unquote, stemmed simply from the color of a man's skin, which gave him a chip on his shoulder. It would be a long time before this chip was removed, unquote. And this is the next paragraph. It is understood the chip, quote unquote, referred to the possibility that black people were more likely to become disaffected due to fractionist race relations in the UK, and therefore susceptible to being persuaded to spy for another country. So I do want to say at the very next to the bottom, that the paragraph before the last paragraph, well, I'll read the last two paragraphs. The MI5 Director General Andrew Parker said, keeping the country safe is a challenge that requires the best efforts of the richest mixed of the most talented people in our society working together in high-performing teams, unquote. Quote, so it is essential to our success that ours is an inclusive workplace offering varied, rewarding, and challenging careers for all, unquote. Okay, but I want to go back to the chip. So this is in the 1960s, and not only that, it's in the UK, and not only that, it's a spying agency. So I was thinking about that concept of the chip on the shoulder, and I was thinking about that construct as a marginalized person myself in the U.S., but I was thinking about that chip on the shoulder from the perspective of a spying agency recruiting, and I was thinking one person's chip on the shoulder is another person's awareness of relational dynamics. I continue to maintain that the traditional way that MI5 and MI6 recruited, which was from the top of the hierarchy, white people, and white people who were from privileged backgrounds. And then I think that they sought to, and I'm not saying, this is my opinion, no one from MI5 has sat with me, MI5 or MI6, the external spying agency for the United Kingdom. No one has sat with me and had a discussion about how they recruit. More is a pity, because that would be interesting to add to my research. But in any case, I've always, the little bit that's we as the general public are aware of, is I've always got this sense, particularly from MI6's perspective, at least what I believe is their perspective, is they took people who were privileged, and to use for the vernacular of the day, made them woke. So took privileged white people and then sought to train them to have a bottom-up perspective on the societal hierarchy. Okay? That was always my opinion. So now I'm going to go back to one person's chip on the shoulder is another person's awareness of relational dynamics. Both spying agencies, MI5, the internal spying agency for the UK, and again, MI6 is the external spying agency for the UK, have voiced publicly their respective directors. Director of MI6 is Alex Younger. So I'll post links to everything. Both directors, I don't have, both directors have been adamant about their understanding that they need diversity to better serve the country, to better protect the country. Okay? Again, I'm going to go back to that chip on the shoulder. I think that chip on the shoulder, again, can be an awareness of relational dynamics. So I'm preaching to the choir now, at least I hope I am. When I look at MI5 and MI6, and I have done so for years, trying to understand the agency, the different agencies, and how and why they develop their modeling the way they do. And one of the things I've always thought is that spying agencies, and that would include counterterrorism policing, is a policing mechanism, but it is also a mechanism that engages in intelligence work. I have a tweet out there saying, to the extent they can, I hope counterterrorism policing UK also, whatever they can share about the modality of their work that doesn't breach their secrecy, the Secrecy Act, please do. Because they are more than just the folks that break down the doors with the guns. And it's important for people to understand the seriousness and the skill sets that should be brought to the table when it comes to keeping a nation safe. And in this case, we're talking about the UK. So in any case, back to that chip on the shoulder, because I had a rather long commute, and I was working this out in my head. So I think it's important for spying agencies, intelligence agencies, to understand from a sociological perspective the spaces in which they work in, okay, be it internal or external. And then I think it's important to understand how those dynamics impact security and threat, including how you define security and who are you concerned about being safe, okay? And how you define threat and who are you concerned about being a threat and why? What's that based on? So I think you don't just, MI5 didn't just recruit an MI6 privileged white males, okay? There's more to it than that. So I'm not by no means suggesting that interested black people, British black people, that you're just going to recruit persons because they're British and black. No. But I think because just like their white counterparts, there's a myriad of skills you're looking for and other things you're looking for. The bar is set high. I do understand that. But what I think is important for spying agencies, and I'm including counterterrorism police, is to be aware of the dynamics and the relational dynamics in the society, and to work very hard to, and be diligent not to reproduce the dysfunctional dynamics, but to learn from those dysfunctional dynamics, because in understanding those dysfunctional dynamics, you might acquire greater wisdom, guidance, nuanced view, and indeed a whole new additional set of skill sets to keep the country safe whilst doing the least amount of harm. Okay. There's somewhere in the middle of this that I thought I wasn't recording, so I have a break where I said I don't think. I'm going to try to delete that part cut it out, but if I don't and you hear it, that's why. So anyway, it's been decades and decades and decades and decades that I've been consumed with how this country goes about keeping us safe. And I've been spending so much time here for so many years. So as I walk through my research, which is something more specific, okay, bottom-up perspective of national security modeling. So I'm actually looking from a different perspective, bottom-up. I nevertheless stopped thinking top-down and trying to understand how and why the state constructs the modeling the way it does. So I hope this bit of a stream of consciousness made sense. I'm trying to paint a picture not only for myself, but I'm trying to articulate. My journey in this country has been an odd one. I came here as a tourist. Shortly thereafter, I started doing volunteer work, a lot of volunteer work, which I loved, which I had an entire volunteer career. So I had a business career in Chicago and a feminist activist career here, and the UK was in London, England. And the branch of feminism that I had the good fortune and the blessing from Allah above to cross paths with and become a part of was the open conversation of national security from the perspective of feminist. That's wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I at 61 and after spending over 30 years in that branch of expression of feminism, I continue to want to not only learn more in the present, but also to reflect on lived experiences, my own and my sisters in feminism, and the changes I've seen in the national security modeling here. And at this point in my life and in my academic career, I seek to share my journey of understanding, exploration, and learning. So I hope that makes sense. This is Debra V. Wilson. I'm in London. It is Sunday, the 20th of January, 2019, and the time is 1600 hours and 35 minutes, and that's GMT. Thank you very much.